Welcome back. Welcome back. It's such a great song. I wasn't around for the actual show, Welcome Back, Carter, but like that theme song will always like kind of stick with me. So yeah, thanks everybody for coming through. Cool. Oh, I forgot to join the room and do the speech recognition. At some point, I'll get this worked out. Still, figuring out where I want things to go and stuff. So things that make a little bit more sense. So enable speech recognition. All right. So we're back. I want to thank you all again for hanging out. I don't know if anybody tried the highlight video clip thing. I totally forgot to click create highlights video, and I had the clips. Yeah, that was a thing I did. So I actually during the break, I did a bunch of stuff, and one of those things was to create like a one slide kind of explanation on how the highlight video thing worked. And so maybe next break, the next break is gonna be the final break. So if you have something you kind of want to show and tell, that would be the time. Let me know. So, all right. So again, thank you for coming through. And let's real quick. I'm a big fan of web components, and anything that could make web components better, I'm all for. And for people that may not be familiar with web components, like the super like high level, just kind of thing, explanation is that, let's say, if I'm not sure how many people are familiar with like web programming and things. So a web page, so the web page you're looking at now is has a lot of different, it's made up of a lot of different elements, right? And there's a standard set of elements, and they make up HTML. And JavaScript helps interact with those things, with the elements, so that, like, for example, how we go from the work mode to the break mode, like I switch elements around and I use JavaScript to make that happen. So now imagine not being constrained to those set of elements that come with like HTML. Imagine being able to create your own element that the browser can understand, and you can do whatever it is that you want with it within reason. Let's not go wild. You know what I mean? But so, for example, the countdown clock that you see in a bunch of different places, whether it be on the front page, on your work session, what are we calling that? The dashboard, work dashboard, or even during the breaks. Those are all the same web component that I made. And they have special characteristics and powers, I guess, so that I can control them from wherever, and they show what I need them to show. And so, like, for example, I needed to be able to, like when the countdown goes down, I want it to go from the countdown to like another message. So what happens is that the website understands to listen for certain events that the web component will spit out at particular times that I choose. And so when a countdown hits to 0, the web component will be like, hey, I'm done. And the web page will be like, oh, hey, you're done. Let me do this thing now. So it's kind of amazing. And then I can use that on, like, it's in different parts of this website. I use it in another website. Like, it's all over the place, and it's kind of amazing because the browser just understands it. Great. So now, to help with that, let me share my screen here. But so shout out to everybody that works on the web components, because y'all are doing great work. I'm kind of a part of the team. Like, I was invited to kind of take part, but I just have not been as active as I want to be. But they're doing amazing work, and I want to showcase some of the stuff they're doing. So with that being said, let me share the screen here. Yeah, 10 minutes should be good enough. All right. It's a new thing that's coming. Well, it's kind of here now already. So if you're into web components, you can kind of play around with it. But it's called the Custom Elements Manifest. not manifesto, but manifest. And it's pretty much like a document that you bring along with your web component so that other tools can understand what your web component does. So it's kind of like an instruction booklet for what your web component is capable of doing and what it wants to do, what it's supposed to be doing. And so, shouts to Pascal. And okay, where's my mouse? Okay, here we go. So now, so they're just kind of talking about and giving like the background of it. And so, like I said here, so you can see, so you see that open dash shadow? That's a web component. That closed dash shadow, yet another web component. What it does, no clue. But that's what the custom elements manifest is supposed to help with. And so, so here it goes. It says the custom elements manifest is a file format that describes the custom element in your project. This format will allow tooling and IDEs to give rich information about the custom elements in a given project. And the file is going to be custom-elements.json. So it's kind of with the web component team, like what they're trying to do is create like a standard so that all the browsers can understand it. People working on different tooling, people creating web components can all have like the same level playing field that everybody agrees to. And so, oh, and it says it right there. That's great. So, but yeah, so a custom elements.json contains metadata about the custom elements, your web component, in your project. So things like their properties, stuff you're passing into it, the methods, the things that they can do, attributes, more stuff that it inherently does, inheritance, like how it, like what it pulls from, kind of thing. Because you can have web components based on other on other elements. So let's say you want your own special super button or something, then you can create a web component based on that button. So all the goodness that the button that comes with the button, like clicking and being disabled, you know what I'm saying, and active and all these things, all come with that, and you can build on top of that. Slots, things that you can pass into between your web components that will handle. So like you could pass in text or whatever you want in there, and your web component will know how to handle it. So CSS shadow parts. So styling web components is kind of a thing. So you could actually your web component is like siloed, like it's its own self-contained thing. So it could have its own styling that won't affect the outer application, or the application won't affect it. But it can, though. You can pass it through. You can pass through stuff through like CSS variables and things, which is amazing. So there's that. Also, CSS custom properties and module exports. It's a JavaScript thing. Cool. So, all right. So then they're saying here, it is important to note that custom elements manifest schema is a community standard. And so we have discussions. Well, they have discussions. I'm just kind of part of the group. So I need to be better at, so hopefully by, doing this things, I'll have more time to free up to be a part of it. But so yeah, so the discussions are out there. It's a cool Slack channel. People are awesome. And so they've got people from like Adobe, Stencil, Google, Open Web Components, ING, the bank people, and a lot more. So a good group of people, very, very smart. So here's like an example. So here's a web component that's called my-element, and it extends an HTML base element. So it's just a generic HTML element. And then it has this thing, it could be, how like buttons, like you can set it to where they're like inactive or disabled, and you can't click on them and it won't do anything. So that's what this is returning. That's its observed attribute. That's the thing it's watching for. And then just put in the value. It's probably like true or false maybe or something. And then you set it, and then you can get it. So it's like, is this thing active or not, pretty much. And then here's the event that's firing it to let the outside world know what happened. And cool. And then you just say like, hey, my-element follows this code here. So you may not, so it's like the browser may not understand it, but here are the instructions on how to handle it. All right, cool. So here is what the custom element JSON. So it's kind of says like what it is, JavaScript module, where to get all the information for it, the name of the instructions, the things to watch for, any methods that it can fire, so what the events that it can fire, the attributes that you're looking for, and what it's based on, the name of the element. So all these things, like, so the potential use cases. So like, here's a use case. I'm not sure how many people are familiar with like Storybook. Storybook is pretty awesome because it kind of gives you visual representations of your web component in different states. And what this can do can help on top of that is like, hey, it fires these things because there's this thing called knobs in Storybook. So it's like, hey, these are the things you can change. These are the things to listen for. So it's like a whole documentation on what your element is capable of. And so this is something somebody made called the API Viewer Elements, which I believe is another web component. So which is amazing. So web components like being built to help explain web components. It's great. And so, like I said, you can display all the different parts and everything. They mentioned Storybook again, like we did before. Then you can, 11T is like a static generated site thing, I think. So you can use it to create the documentation for you. So at Vonage, we have a standard that is across the board, like everybody uses, called Open API standards. So it's a way that you look at this thing and you're going to understand it because everybody should be following the same criteria and layout. And so there's different tools that, since everybody is following the same thing, it makes it easier to be able to create documentation based on it. And so this is a similar thing with the custom elements manifest. And so we're just talking about more cool things. So this like documentation here was generated using that custom dash elements.json file. Pretty cool stuff. They're looking to actually be built into Storybook. That's what that's saying here. And then also for frameworks. So like React and Svelte, and I'm a big fan of Svelte, by the way. But the tool is a tool. So whatever feels right to you, then you know it's right. So, but yeah, Angular, all these things, it can also help let those frameworks know what to kind of expect from your thing. So, and then they're saying it'll help also avoid any breaking changes because you can like version them. And so through your test or whatever, you can look at like the different versions and be like, wait, this one changed. Now, will this break anything? And you can run tests and things like that off of that. Linting, when you're coding up stuff, it's cool to have like little pop-up and hints like, oh, hey, these are the things that you can pass into this custom element. And that comes from the custom-elements.json. And then like websites that catalog all the different types of web components, you'd be able to, through the custom JSON, just automatically pull in the information needed to be able to showcase them on a website. And there's a bunch more that people can come up with. So feel free to check it out. I think it's pretty cool. And I think it's going to be something helpful for people to kind of bring forward this whole web components thing, because web components have been around for a while and it's been kind of like janky. So I think things like this will help kind of standardize, like, all right,